So we're gonna give you the story of 2 African Americans who were unarmed, who were shot, and the cops who got away with it. Now, normally in the last half hour of the show is just for members, and it is live, just the same way today. But this story is too important, so we're gonna put it out for everybody on all of our platforms. And we're gonna show you the video of the shootings in a second as well, and then tell you about how the cops got away with it. Because I want everybody to see this with their own eyes. So first, we're gonna go to the story of Stephon Clark. This happened in Sacramento. He was unarmed and shot. We're gonna show you a portion of that video. Some things are clear, some things are not. Let's watch it, and then I'll tell you what happened, and then how the cops were found, once again, actually not even charged, not guilty, not charged. Here, let's watch.
Hey, show me your hands! Stop! Stop! 5-7 South. Show me your hands, gun! Show me your hands, gun, gun, gun! 5-7 shots fired, subject down. Show me your hands! I see your hands!
Okay, that's only a portion of the video. The rest of the video, they keep yelling at him after he is clearly passed away. They will not go to save him. To me, that is arguably even more outrageous. You shot him 7 times. For God's sake, go help the guy. And so let me give you more details, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll go to the Terrence Crutcher case as well, which is another outrage. District Attorney Anne Mary Schubert said that the 2 officers involved in the shooting, Terrence Mercadal and Jared Robinet, had acted lawfully and feared for their lives when they fired at 22-year-old Stephon Clark. They're always afraid for their lives. Officers were responding to reports of a break-in when they came upon Clark in his grandmother's backyard. That does sound awfully dangerous. Police said he approached them with his hands extended and holding an object they thought was a gun, but police said they found only a cell phone after firing the fatal shots. See, that's why what we're asking you to do is not that complicated. To find out first if it's a cell phone or a gun before you shoot and kill the guy. And turns out people have cell phones, and a lot of times cops mistake them for guns. Now, I'm not saying that those guys who shot him just wanted to kill him for fun. No, you see the video. They're breathing heavy. But we teach them to be afraid. We teach them to be afraid. Anything could be a weapon. So shoot people just in case. No, don't shoot them just in case. Find out what they have first. That's why you're a cop. You have a badge and a gun, and it's supposed to be a hard job. It's not a hard job if you just shoot everyone you think might have a gun.
It's a very hard job. That's the thing. So when you pit police against whoever it is that they're pursuing, and you're like, okay, by the way, so we're gonna get to the second one in Tulsa as well. When the ruling, or not even ruling as you said, when guys aren't even charged because they said they had a reasonable reason to fear for their lives, they had a reasonable belief to believe that a cell phone was a gun. Where are those parameters? That's completely objective, that's completely based off of what that person wants to determine. So once they determine it, other officers in the future go, you know what, next time I'm in, and they're not thinking it's right now. They're thinking when they're in that next tense situation, and then they're chasing someone, or someone is getting out of a car, or someone is sitting in their car saying, I don't have a weapon, and they go, do you want me to reach now for my license and registration, or should I keep my hands here? And you shoot them anyway, because we've seen that happen as well. In those situations, they're subconsciously, they're taking this in. If you can say constantly that there's crime deterrents we have, which are like death penalty, putting people in prison whenever they possess any amount of drugs, then we're like, those are things that will deter people from committing crimes. You know what's gonna help people commit crimes, in my opinion, with police officers, is giving them reasons to do so, subconsciously again. So if they're in a situation where the guy's running, or the guy's walking away, or they can't see him, or he pulls out a cell phone, the back of their mind they're saying, I can shoot because I'm gonna get off the hook for this. Because every other time we get off the hook for this, because I really am in fear for my life, which I believe they are. All cops are guys in our society who have a badge and a gun when they're on the clock. And then they're just as fearful of certain folks as most of everyone else in society.
Yeah, but a little extra. So I think that the problems, I totally agree with you that the problem is before and after, right? So before we train them hey, anything could be a gun. You're better to be judged by 12, they say, than carried out by 6. Most of the time, they're not even judged by 12 because the prosecutor says, no, I'm not going to charge them. I don't care what you think. And in this case, District Attorney Anne Marie Schubert apparently has a history of not charging cops. Sean Cenk and Real Justice PAC are looking into having someone run against her because if she's not going to represent anyone in the community, and all she's going to do is protect the interests of the powerful and the elite, well, that's exactly why you would vote someone out. So to me, that what got under my skin was what she did afterwards. But I also want to emphasize what the cops do afterwards. So before we train them, who cares? Better to be judged by 12. Shoot him. Don't take any risk with your life whatsoever. That's not what a cop is supposed to do. Yes, it's a dangerous job. You're supposed to say freeze, you're under arrest. Let me see your hands, put your hands up. Not just, hey, he might have something, let's just kill him and see what happens later, right? And then afterwards, when there's never any accountability and they never get charged, or if they do, they're always let off, and they get another job, as we're gonna show you in Oklahoma, then they think, yeah, of course, there's no downside. And I've been told I'm supposed to do it. So it's not like to back up what Jayar is saying, I think, it's not that they're particularly evil people that are cops. It's just the system is wrong. And we got to fix that system. And part of fixing it is fixing the prosecutor. So in this case, she said, there's no question that a human being died. Oh, wow, are you not merciful for acknowledging that? Okay.
I was fighting about that part.
Yeah. I can't believe that you look at, especially the part of the video where they're just letting him die and he's bleeding out and they won't go help him. And they say, no, that's good protocol. No, it's not good protocol. Go, he's dying, go help him, right? Well, he could have a gun and his dead body could pick up that gun and use it against us. I mean, think about what a low probability is. Even if he had a gun and even if he isn't dead, the chances that a guy who got shot 7 times is going to pick up a gun and do something. What is the chance of that versus the chance that you might save his life if you stop the bleeding? But they don't care about us at all. That is what they say when they say, we're not going to charge him. It was right to let him bleed out because I didn't want to take 1% on 1% chance with my life because my life's more important than yours. Why do you think it's called Black Lives Matter? Because by doing these actions, you show that it doesn't. But the part that made me the maddest about this was when the district attorney, Schubert, came out and said, well, let me tell you all the things that Stephen Clark did wrong. In his life, not necessarily even in this particular instance. So he was fighting with his girlfriend before the cops got there on the phone. Wait, but this isn't a domestic abuse call. You guys were trying to see if somebody was robbing something, right? So why are you even bringing up a fight he had with his girlfriend on the phone? The phone that you confused with a gun? Is that the phone we're talking about, right? And then he had, you're gonna be shocked to find out, traces of drugs in his system. Now, why do I say you're gonna be shocked sarcastically? Because the cops do this every time somebody who is unarmed gets killed. Oh, he had traces of drugs. So what? What are you trying to say? Like, so it was right to execute him? Why are you bringing that up? I mean, this is literally adding insult to not just injury, but to death. And then finally, they say, well, we looked at his computer and we found out that he was researching different ways to kill himself. So wait, let me get this right. Why are you looking into his computer? He's dead. You guys are the ones that did something wrong, not him. He wasn't the guy. You shot the wrong guy and he was unarmed. You looked at his computer so you could find a way to blame him. And then are you trying to say, well, we were just doing him a favor by killing him?
So I figure which one it is. Every time someone says, mentions any suicidal thoughts, I think the protocol is to say, we need to get you some help. Hey, call the suicide hotline. Hey, look and get some help. Hey, talk to someone you trust. You know what, don't be alone. All these things are said to someone who has suicidal tendencies. So I don't think their approach was saying, hey, the poor guy was on the verge of something, which again, at this point, you can't trust much of any of their motives when it comes to these things. So I'll also think about it this way. If you're, as a police officer, afraid of being shot by this guy and you can't see him close enough to tell whether the cell phone is a gun or not, and you shoot, they hit him 7 times. I couldn't count how many shots went off, but I'm guessing around 15. Probably about double the amount that they actually hit him with. So if you get hit by a bullet that the suspect is firing at you, and you think you're gonna die immediately, What do you think is happening to him on the ground after you shot him that many times? Do you think he still can squeeze the trigger and point at you somehow and shoot you in the face as you can't approach him? Because again, their reasoning for not coming up on him exactly is, as you said, there's multiple events that continue to happen after that. They kept screaming, hey, if you're okay, you have to let us know. Tell us if you're not still holding a gun over there. And they're still hanging around the corner for 10 minutes waiting for him to say something back. Because maybe he's just feigning death after the multiple shots you shot at him. If you don't think you can survive possibly a shot at you from a gun you didn't see yet, what's the probability that he survived all those shots you just fired at him?
That's because they don't care about our lives. And so that's exactly what we're saying. Look, Jayar has been our senior producer for 15 years on this show. So he has seen every one of these videos, unfortunately, 1,000 times. And you see all the different angles. That's gonna bring us to Oklahoma in a second. But last thing on what happened in Sacramento. Look, if I see one more prosecutor do a character assassination of an unarmed black man after a literal assassination, yeah, we're gonna do anything and everything we can to remove that prosecutor from office. So that we do it by political means, we do it by voting. That's what we're supposed to do in America. So if you think, hey, but my power base is the cops, so I'm gonna protect them at all costs, and I'm gonna go and smear the guy who was killed, okay, all right, I hear you. That's your choice. Now the voters have a choice.
Last thing on the Stephen Clark side of this, the prosecutor coming forward and saying all these things that you would look up as we're saying and go, what are you thinking? What are you trying to say? They know that this is a test, this is a temperature of society. So they know that society's gonna go, yeah, there's drugs in the system. Yeah, suicidal thoughts. Yeah, potential domestic violence or an argument with his girlfriend. All those things they know general society will go, it's okay if you killed him. They know how brutal and heartless society is when it comes to situations like this. So they just feed us what we're already taking already. If they said all this and the 90% of society said, what are you trying to say? How dare you? They might stop doing it. But the problem is we're a part of the problem. We eat it up and we agree with them.
Yeah, well, no more. If you're watching this later, again, the members of Young Turks get this live. But if you're watching it later, we'll put the links down below on YouTube and Facebook to the PACs that work to remove prosecutors like this so we can get justice in this country. Okay, so now that brings us to Terrence Crutcher. A lot of you might have seen this story before too. He's a middle-aged African-American guy in the middle of the road, his hands clearly up. We're gonna show you the video. Now, after the video, we'll give you the details, and you're gonna be shocked to find out the cop got away with it again. But here's a video first.
Speaking of pleasing your fans and always being their band, do you find it really hard?
Which way are they facing?
Now?
They're facing westbound. I think he may have just been tasered. Shots fired! At 321, we have shots fired. We have one suspect down.
So some folks are blocking their way there. There's helicopter video that shows it even more clearly. But you hear he tasered, suspect's been tasered. You saw his hands up almost the entire time, and then you hear shots fired. So are you supposed to reach into the car to get your ID, or are you not supposed to reach into the car to get the ID? Are you supposed to have your hands up, hands down? And there's no winning. There's no winning. And in the helicopter video, you see his hands are up, 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 up. It doesn't matter, he gets shot anyway. So let me go to New York Times for a description of what happened in this case. Betty Shelby, who worked for the Tulsa Police Department at the time, says she shot Terrence Crutcher in September of 2016 in self-defense because she thought he was reaching into his car for what might have been a weapon. Video of the episode showed Crutcher holding his hands above his head when he was shot. At the time he was shot, okay? The Justice Department said that it had found insufficient evidence to prove that her use of force against Crutcher was, quote, objectively unreasonable under the definitions set by the United States Supreme Court. So there's two different layers to this case. One was at the local level and she was acquitted. I mean, look, it's a black guy. I mean, it's, of course, what are we gonna do, put you in jail for shooting an unarmed black guy whose hands were up? Okay, so that's the justice he got in Oklahoma, so she's free to go. She now works with another police department, I'll get back to that in a sec, okay? Then the feds take up the case and then decide insufficient evidence to find that what she did was objectively unreasonable. Then I don't know what it means to be objectively unreasonable then.
I'm trying to figure out where the meaning of all this is. It's based solely on what your perceptions of the situation. So other people that were commenting on it as the video was going, I think you also, as you mentioned, the helicopter video, there was people, I couldn't identify exactly who, but I saw other ones where they said, it looks like a bad dude right there.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
What does a bad dude look like that's walking towards a car?
And you guys saw the video, did he look like a bad dude to you? And see, that's exactly what we're talking about in terms of the stereotypes that are in people's heads. He looked like the most normal guy in the world to me. He might have had issues with his medication, I remember from when we covered the story in 2016, et cetera, but he wasn't acting crazed, he wasn't in weird clothes, he didn't have any weapons. He seems like a guy that looks like a perfectly normal car and a perfectly normal guy.
I'm still trying to figure out why the second, third, fourth cops that approached, again, his hands in the air. If you're worried he's going to his car for a weapon, maybe you should stop him rather than stalk behind him until he gets to the car and shoot him in the back or wherever they shot him. Again, what's the procedure here? And again, it's based in what do we think her reasonable fear for her life was? How do you get in her brain? If I can't go into her brain and say, hey, you know what, she's a racist POS, and you know what, she was bloodthirsty that day, she wanted to kill her a black man. If I say that, you're gonna be outraged, don't you? But you can say the opposite and say she was fearful for her life because that bad dude was gonna hurt her in her mind. How come you get to read her mind and I don't get to?
That's a great question. I never heard anybody ask it that way. That's exactly right. And guys, look, you see the video, man. You think all those cops were in mortal danger. They're about to be murdered any second by the guy walking with his hands up. Who believes that? Who believes that? And they say we're unreasonable. That nobody could objectively, reasonably believe that what they did was wrong. I mean, are we on the same planet? Are we watching the same video? And then the second question I gotta ask you is, again, just for a second, if you're not black, just think about it. Like if that's you, because apparently that's a hard thing to imagine for folks, right? What could you have done to not get shot? I don't know what the answer to that is. Philando Castile told him, hey, I have a weapon, but it's permitted, and so I have a permit, it's on this. Do you want, and he's like, put your hands up. He's like, I got him up. He's like, now give me your ID. I put him down, boom, showed him dead, right? This guy's got his hands up. There's a video of a white guy getting shot at a hotel. They play Simon Says with the guy until they execute him, right? So it happens more often to African Americans, but the cops' training is definitively wrong, definitively wrong. And then we let him get away. So the two last things about this case. She got a job now with Rogers County Sheriff's Office, about 30 miles from Tulsa, and where the head of the police there said he had, quote, no reservations whatsoever about hiring her. I'd have a little reservation at least. None. Why? Because that's not the bug, that's the feature. And then he went on to say that, quote, that she served the community in Tulsa well.
They need confirmation that they're gonna support cops that end up in these situations, because the empathy only goes towards cops. Sure, cops have been in bad situations. Sure, cops have been killed on the job many times by culprits, suspects, people who don't like police. All that stuff happens. So the basis for that allows them to do whatever they want in all other situations, and I just don't get it. So when you get hired, how long, 30 miles away from Tulsa?
Yeah.
You get hired 30 miles away, close enough easily that everyone knows about this case. Not like you're in Florida, like, man, I heard something about something in Oklahoma back in 16, but I can't know for sure. We hired her, mistake. But if you get fired from the Walgreens job down the street because there's some money missing out of the cash register and they're not sure it was you that took it, and they said, oh, but they lost their job. If you go down the street to CVS be like, you know what? You have a record of mysteriously some cash missing. I might hire you, but I have some reservations because I'm not sure what happened in that situation. And that's just maybe over $100 out of the cash register. But you murder someone and there's 0 reservations. Why is that?
Gee, I wonder why they call it Black Lives Matter. It's almost as if the cops treat it like they don't matter. Last part of this is the family is suing. That's their last recourse, because the local level justice didn't work, the federal level justice didn't work on the criminal case. But you know what they're asking for? Not just damages. They're asking for injunctive relief that would require reform in the police department. Thank you. Thank you to the Crutcher family for insisting that we fix the training. Because if we don't, this is gonna happen again and again. It's happened, unfortunately, way too many times we've shared with you on this show, and it's gonna happen in your neck of the woods. And every time people are gonna say, I guess there was nothing we could do about that. No, there is something you could do about that. You can get rid of the corrupt prosecutors, and you could fix the training of the police. And the last thing we ask for is not much, which is some degree of justice after the fact. Like what you see? Click the subscribe button below, and don't forget to ring the bell to never miss another video from the Young Turks.